Have you ever wanted to create your own Wager Talk Dream Team? We're excited to announce you can build your own superstar handicapping lineup using our Pick Your Team program at WagerTalk.com. Even more exciting, for a limited time, you can save up to 55% on your favorite 2 or 3 handicappers and pay as little as $1.99 for a full month of picks. Dave Koken, Marco D'Angelo, Yanni the Greek, Ralph Michaels, Teddy Covers, Hakeem Prophet, Tony Finn, Rob Vino, Brian Leonard. The combinations are endless. Who will make your dream team lineup? Just go to WagerTalk.com, click Pick Your Team, and personally hand-select your handicapping roster. Our Dream Team promotion is only being offered for a little limited time before going back to regular price, so please make sure to take advantage of this incredible offer.
All right, and away we go. It is Friday, folks. Welcome into another edition of the College Basketball Tip-Off Show, of course, powered by our good friends at WagerTalk.com. I'm Joe Raineri. We got a couple of games that we're going to talk about, not only today, but also a couple of games tomorrow in the college basketball card, certainly worth mentioning. Let's take a look at what we got on that card. Iowa taking on Illinois. Very interesting battle here tonight. We're also going to take a look at, not on there, but we're going to take a look at the Colorado State-Boise State game. That is round 2. We talked about that game a couple of nights ago with Colorado State winning. This will be game 2. We'll see if revenge is on the mind of Boise State. And then, of course, tomorrow you got 2 of the hottest teams, Alabama, OU, plus Texas Tech, LSU. Love that Big 12 SEC crossover. Great stuff there. Let's introduce who's going to give you a plethora of college basketball information here today, including our good friend Drew Martin back at sportsmemo.com. Drew, always a pleasure to see you. Dave Koken, and, of course, Ralph Michaels. We are here, guys. It's been a hell of a run on the show this week. Best bets on the show, 13-1-1 now over the last 72 hours. So certainly been seeing it great. The guys have been doing a fantastic job. And, outside of Belmont pushing last night, there would have been a couple of perfect cards here over the last couple of days. Still, 13-1-1, nothing to be shake a stick at here, but pales in comparison of what some of these guys have been doing here. So, Drew, welcome back in, my man. What have you been doing? What's going on at sportsmemo.com? How has college hoops been treating you here?
Joe, thanks for having me on, man. Each and every Friday, excited to be doing this show, and hopefully I don't ruin this streak that we're on with best bets. So excited about that, man. And yeah, Sports Memo, a lot going on. A lot of guys seeing it really well. You know, college basketball for me, in terms of multi-year, is my best sport. So I actually started off stumbling a little bit, Joe, but just last night, you know, got a winner in back to 19 and 19, 50%. So hopefully from here on out, man, it's profits only in terms of staying above that 500 record, and hopefully win a best bet as well.
Absolutely, man. Yep, no, it's rolling. Let's do it here. Dave Koken, welcome back in, my friend. The streak continues for you, both good and head-scratching. Of course, Richmond game canceled here today. We just learned a little while ago, and I'm going to guess that maybe that was a game you liked here earlier today?
Yeah, I like St. Louis. That was going to be my best bet on the service tonight, and it was my only bet, so I think I'm probably just going to take the night off. But, you know, the games that actually don't get canceled that I use are doing okay. 4-2 last night, 2-1 in the NHL, 2-1 in hoops. I missed with Kansas, which was disappointing, but the other 2 got there. And the hockey, I still have not lost a game in regulation this season.
Yep.
Which is
absolutely crazy.
That's something worth mentioning. I think I've had 18 or 19 plays, and I've had a few overtime losses, but it's been really good. And I'm actually pretty impressed by that many games and not a single regulation loss. So I'm on top of the NHL, but I didn't play anything tonight. There's only one game anyway. Plenty of action tomorrow, though. And, I should mention my free play on the Super Bowl. I'm not selling it. It's a free play. It's not a big play, but it's a free play, and you can go to my homepage right now and watch the video.
Love it. Do it. Head over there, WagerTalk.com. It's certainly been a hell of a run here for Dave Koken. Also a hell of a run here on the show for our good friend Ralph Michaels. And Ralph, I just want to, in case, because I know there were some people asking about it, the stat sheet that you do now for college basketball. Is that available today now for folks? Has it been updated today?
Well, yeah, right now I'm planning to do it twice a week as long as time permits. So there is a fresh copy up this morning, and every stat in there for every 3 of the 347 teams is updated through last night. So, it's broken down by conference. 99% of the games are all conference games, with the exception of that Big 12 SEC championship. And conference-only stats, something you really can't find at most places, and conference stat diffs. So when you're looking at a team and you can see their conference record, their conference-only strength of schedule record, and their conference points per game diff, it gives you a pretty good idea of where that team is strength-wise. WagerTalk.com, the Ralph Michaels page, and it is a free download.
Absolutely, guys. Make sure you get there. Good stuff. Also, make sure you're following these guys on Twitter, too. Great Twitter handles. Always a lot of fun, very entertaining, very informative, good stuff. Drew Martin, you can get him at Drew Martin Bets, Ralph at Cal Sports LV, and of course Dave at Dave Koken. And gentlemen, before we go ahead and dive into game one here, Iowa taking on Illinois, let us take a look at some of those top performers from last night. In fact, some interesting games on the board, including Houston doing what Houston does, taking care of Tulane. And, Dave, I wasn't sure when we started the show, were you on the Long Island Merrimack game?
Yeah, nice, easy winner.
Yeah, piece of cake. Yeah, that was good stuff there. And then, of course, some of these over-unders not over-unders, rather the covers yesterday across the board were certainly interesting. And it starts up at that top here, Rutgers versus Michigan State. Ralph, all you guys agreed there was only one way to go in that game, and I don't think anybody saw it by 27, though, Ralph.
No.
Yeah, no, not at all. And hey, look at that. Tennessee Martin made the board,
yes.
as does Moorhead. So
yep.
You look at the upsets. I believe Dave Koken said yesterday when we made a mention of Stanford, Arizona, or the day before. Whenever you have players leave, one of two things can happen. The team can fall apart, or to use Dave's word, it can galvanize a team. Stanford off back-to-back upset wins. Nice job by them.
Great. Actually, really great. Also, some of the overs, unders from 24 hours ago. Let's take a look at those. And Kansas TCU, I guess, is the one that sticks out where we kind of 59-51. It was they were first one to 60. Dave, I don't think anybody saw that coming. The first one to 60 was going to win in that game. It was tough to watch. That's for sure.
Well, I don't know if it was tough to watch because I didn't watch it, but I had the wrong side. Kansas was horrible. I think the most they ever led by was 10.
Oof.
Pretty late, and so never really had a chance to cover that one. If you'd have told me going in, well, TCU is going to get just a 50, I would have loved my Kansas bet. And that shows you why they don't always win, even when you kind of get it the way you think you're going to get it. Kansas just didn't shoot the ball, and they're not a very good team right now, at least by Kansas standards, that's for sure.
Yep. That's for sure.
Joe, one note on that Valpo over. The Valpo-Bradley over does get 2 asterisks. That was a double overtime game.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Because that makes sense there. All right, guys, let's dive in here to the first game tonight. We're going to take a look at how about Iowa taking on Illinois here. 2 teams that are certainly at the top of the Ken Palm efficiency ratings in their own unique ways here. Of course, with Iowa being the most efficient offense in the country, even ahead of the Zags. Illinois being a very balanced team. 1.5 is what this opened up as. Total at 164.5. So, Drew, let me throw it to you. Big Ten has done a great job of just devouring themselves all season long. How do you have these two teams lined up here tonight?
Yeah, you're right, Joe. I mean, the Big Ten, it's just, kind of power teams against power teams, really good. I think they're going to do pretty good in the NCAA tournament. I don't think that's stepping out on too much of a limb here. But in this game tonight, 9 p.m. FS1 watch and win opportunity. Illinois, not that they're fraudulent, but having to step up in class, Joe, it's not a team I'm really circled on in terms of betting on when they're having to play the better teams on their schedule. in terms of, power rating wise, they really haven't stepped up in class. Just 5-5 versus top 50 opponents, power ratings by Ken Palm. Also, they've lost 2 of their last 3 at home. That's a little bit worrisome in this matchup for tonight, having to go up against obviously a top 50 team, a very good team in Iowa. They're also shooting under 70% from the free throw line, talking about Illinois here. So in terms of laying a small key number of 1.5, not really interested in that type of profile of bet, having to lay a small number with a team that doesn't hit over 70% from the free throw line. And Iowa, like you touched on, Joe, #1 offensive efficiency team, plus the fact they don't turn the ball over. I like the Hawkeyes tonight.
Dave, it's not a spot Iowa has found themselves in a lot, this being an underdog in an underdog role here. How do you have these 2 teams lined up here tonight?
Well, I mean, I like Iowa, but C.J. Frederick might not play tonight. And that's, a pretty important cog in their offense. The guy shoots 50% on threes. He's just, he's not a huge scorer, but when he shoots the ball, it goes in. And so that's a potentially significant loss. It's not like having Garza out, but it's still significant. Otherwise, I would have liked Iowa in this spot. I think they're the better basketball team, and look, it didn't work last night with Kansas, but it works more often than it doesn't. Taking good teams off losses, and Iowa's off. I think it's very fair to say their worst game of the year, losing at home to Indiana. You got to think this team's going to be fired up and ready to go tonight at Illinois. So I think situationally it's a good spot for Iowa. But again, I'm not comfortable with them if Frederick isn't out there, and I don't know what his status is right now. I suspect he's not playing.
So Iowa not great defensively there, Ralph. Like to play a lot of zone, which usually leaves open a lot of threes. Illinois is pretty good from behind the arc there. How do you have this game tonight?
I'm going to echo Dave's sentiments. When you have a player like Frederick, and Frederick, you mentioned players on Iowa. You're going to mention Garza first and then probably Weiskamp. So Frederick probably is in the McCaffrey. I'm not sure who you're going to mention third, but he started all 15 games. So that's an integral part against a Illinois defense that is playing very well. They still do get pressures. They still do force turnovers. But I'm not going to go against Iowa off a loss. So only one way for me to go. Without Frederick, no play. Frederick plays and he's healthy. If something happens in the next few hours and we find that out, I would be on Iowa off the loss.
All right, would definitely consider that for sure. Guys, just a quick reminder here before we dive in to the Boise State, Colorado State game here, game number 2 tonight. I do want to let you know, last chance, guys, your opportunity right now to put your own team together. That is right. 3 of your favorite handicappers right now, 30 days, all access as little as $199. That is a 55% savings. Why not put these 3 guys together? Drew Martin, Ralph Michaels, Dave Koken. Put your team together now. Take advantage of this deal, guys. 30 days, all access, all plays, all yours right now at WagerTalk and SportsMemo.com. All right, let's take a look at round 2 here. Boise State taking on Colorado State here. Opened up as a pick'em. I am seeing some love towards Boise State here in a revenge spot. So, Ralph, let me start with you. Revenge spot, Boise State, Colorado State. I think we all thought because of the schedule with Boise a couple of nights ago that this would be a real test for them. How much do you trust them to come back and get the win here tonight?
I don't think it's revenge. I don't think you could say revenge. If you're a pick'em game and you lose, you could say you have revenge because you lost, but Colorado State dominated them. They played better. What boards were, I think, 40-24, 40-25. Roddy was a beast. And Colorado State now believes themselves. It's not hype anymore. They beat last year's champion in San Diego State. They beat last year's tournament champion in Utah State. They have all the confidence in the world beating Boise again. I think Colorado State beats Boise again tonight.
You mentioned it, Dave, after that game. You said you were just how manhandled Boise State was by this Colorado State team. Anything changed tonight?
Well, yeah. Boise State's going to come out and man up tonight. because they just got pounded in every aspect of that game. The problem is, they're gonna have to prove to me they can beat this team. Colorado State's getting better basically every game. Nico Medved is doing a great job there, and at this point, I think Colorado State is as good as Boise State. And if you look at this and say, well, Boise State's got a payback situation here, and they're really going to be fired up. I agree. But the problem is just removing that from the equation. Should Boise State be a 3-point favorite at Colorado State? Boy, I sure don't think so. At best, I'd say pick them, and I actually would make Colorado State a small favorite, -1 or -2 here. So to me, you can't play Boise and take a bad number like that, at least in my opinion, a bad number. I would have to go with Colorado State. They're going to have confidence that they can once again be the more dominant physical team. Second straight game at this site may not be a disadvantage for Colorado State. Let's put it that way. I think the Rams will win this game. I think it'll be a lot closer, way more competitive than we saw the other night. But I like Colorado State to get the sweep.
Drew Martin, sportsmemo.com, my friend. This is going to be a fun game, certainly, to watch here. It wasn't great for Boise State a couple of nights ago. How do you think their luck goes tonight?
Yeah, Joe, this is a fascinating matchup. Listening to both Ralph and Dave talk about the Colorado State side, they bring up a lot of good points because when I first looked at this game, it's kind of the late night slate, Joe, which is kind of a little bit more fun for me to bet, in terms of 11 p.m. Eastern kick here, a little bit of a degenerate feel. But in terms of Boise State, a couple things I think you can take from this last game against Colorado State where I think they're actually going to perform better. I mean, from the free throw line, their numbers were awful in this game, and this is the number 1 free throw shooting team in the Mountain West. Also, from three-point land, they were just 5 of 23. That's very down from their historical averages. So you can kind of make the argument that, it was something Colorado State did in terms of three-point defense. I don't know if I necessarily am in that camp, Joe. I think that Boise State does bounce back, but to Dave's point, I think that the market's already, kind of pointing towards that. This number is a little bit surprising to me, having to lay 2.5 here, multiple points with Boise State on the road. I don't know if I like that profile of bet. So that's what's keeping me off of this, even though I wouldn't be surprised at all if Boise State bounces back, which we've seen a lot, in 2021, Joe, with this pandemic, what it's done to the college basketball scheduling, and the second game playing a lot different than the first game. I would look for something like that to happen.
Total hovering right around
Joe,
that one. Yeah, go ahead, Ralph.
Let me make up one more point for those people that aren't familiar with the Boise schedule. Okay, Boise's 13-2. They've played 2 teams besides Colorado State in the top 180. That's it. So they've played no top 180 teams except Houston, which was a great loss, game 1. And then their only other top win was against BYU, a 4-point win on the road. So this is a team that built their stats against very weak competition. So them going on the road against this is something you need to keep an eye on.
Yep, and the market so far opened up as a pick 'em. I'm seeing 2s, even 2.5s right now for Boise State. So they're certainly getting some love. That's going to be a fun game. Maybe not. Nothing is going to be as fun as tomorrow's contest when we take a look here at 2 of the hottest teams in the country with Alabama and Oklahoma. A couple of Saturday slate games here, guys. We'll give you a preview on. Opens up Oklahoma laying 2. 153.5 was the total that opened. And Dave, 2 teams hotter than these right now. I mean, Alabama 9-0 in the SEC to open up conference play. Oklahoma coming off of 2 top 10 wins. It could be a third here. Who do you trust in this game?
I don't want to go against Alabama right now. They're playing as well as any team in the country. I mean, they are on fire right now. I mean, well, Gonzaga and Baylor are on level by themselves, but Alabama's playing great basketball. And the surprise is that they're actually doing it with defense. The offense has certainly come around, but their defense has been absolutely tremendous. The worry I have here, and I do think Alabama is better than Oklahoma. The worry I have is they're 9-0 in the SEC right now, and I think that's kind of where their focus is. It's weird to get these non-conference game at the end of January or beginning of February. It's, made for TV stuff. And I think it's really tough to handicap these games because you want the team that wants it more, but I don't know who that is. I mean, Oklahoma has got bigger games, the Big 12. Alabama's got bigger games, the SEC. The only thing I can give you is on paper, Alabama's the better team. So I guess I'll go with Alabama, but this is the type of play that I pretty much eliminate right away because it's just they're really difficult to read non-conference games in the middle of the conference schedule for two seriously contending teams in their league.
Ralph, he's got a point. I mean, are you a big fan of these middle of the season, Big 12? I mean, it's great for the fans, but from a handicapping perspective, how do you approach it?
No, I like what the Big Ten and ACC does. Have them earlier because you're not bringing your A game, or you may be bringing your A game, like you said. What Dave said, you don't know. I certainly have a lean with Alabama. We know Alabama shoots the three. Oklahoma's defense is a top 40 defense, but against three-pointers, they're actually number 260 allowing them. Now, with that said, I read a story this morning that Lon Kruger talked about, you don't often think you bring in a guard and he's the reason you're playing such good defense. But when Brady Manick sat out because of COVID a few games ago, he went to a smaller lineup and brought in Harkins. The last 9 games Harkins has started. Prior to Harkins joining, and he gives all the defense to Harkins, he gives all the credit to Harkins on the defense. Prior to Harkins, they were allowing 39.8% three-point. Since Harkins has been in, they've allowed 26.7%. So I'm looking at year-to-date numbers and say Oklahoma's not great, but Kruger's telling me with the change he's made, they really are playing good. But I give Alabama a slight edge I give Alabama an edge on offense. I give Alabama an edge on defense. These guys played a few years ago, guys. It was Colin Sexton against Trae Young.
Wow, that's right. Yeah, that's a good point. Drew, I don't know. We talked about Alabama. Usually there's a correlated situation with the over. Pace, they're going to fly in. They're going to score 1 million points. But from the defensive perspective and what they're bringing to the table now, how do you approach this game tomorrow?
Sidewise, I think Ralph and Dave hit on a lot. And, Joe, you're bringing up the total now. And I think this is a very tricky handicap in terms of – now, I haven't seen, the circa openers in terms of where this total's opening, but I'm just going off of Ken Palm's 155 is where he has this total pinged at for Saturday's college basketball game, Alabama, Oklahoma. One thing I want to point out in terms of –
153.
Okay, the opener's
yep.
153 and a half. I wanted to bring up a couple points in terms of how I kind of break down the totals handicapping in college basketball. Alabama being number 3 in offensive tempo, 7 of their last 7 games over 70 possessions. So they're dominating, in terms of controlling the pace. They've actually averaged 77 possessions in that time frame, which is very, very fast. But the thing I'm wondering is, 1, they're on the road, and 2, Oklahoma doesn't turn the ball over. They really control the pace themselves, and their point guard, Austin Reeves, he's a 6'5" senior point guard, 87% from the free throw line. He's a good point guard. So I kind of debate with myself in terms of, is Alabama really going to be able to go up and down the court the way that they're going to want to? I'm not too sure in that, especially because Oklahoma, number 19 in offensive efficiency, number 40 in defensive efficiency. Remember, like we talked last Friday, it's very important to have top 40 in both of in terms of both offensive and defensive efficiency. 17 of the last 18 national champions have in college basketball have been top 40 in offensive and defensive efficiency. Oklahoma checks both of those boxes. Not as highly ranked as Alabama, number 15 and number 8 in offensive and defensive efficiency respectfully. But back to the total, Joe. I'm not looking to bet Alabama games under by any means. 153.5 is a high number, but they can get there. But I'm also likely not going to be on this over, Joe, because I think Oklahoma is going to try to slow down the pace with their senior point guard play being at home, and they might actually be able to have some success doing that.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be very interesting. Watching Alabama is exciting, that is for sure, and they've been fantastic on the defensive end. So tricky stuff there. We'll see how that works out. Again, guys, that is a Saturday game tomorrow. You'll have a whole lot of fun tomorrow on that card, including Texas Tech taking on LSU. The last game we'll break down here for you. Texas Tech is a road favorite for this matchup. And Ralph, not been great for LSU. Hasn't been great for LSU backers either. 6-8 against the number this year. Both of these teams, for that matter, seem to have a problem covering more often than not. Just seems like Texas Tech's schedule and what it seems like every week they're having to battle and they're going up against one of the top teams in their conference. How do you have this here on this matchup?
Well, I'm going to give a slight edge without knowing for sure that Chris Beard and Texas Tech want to win this game. I don't think you want to lose 3 straight and then knowing you host Oklahoma on deck. So LSU is off the win. And then simply I'm going to say this Texas Tech team is still building. You remember that, McCullers has just started the last 5 or 6 games. He was injured early. He is now back. They're a better team with them. They're still getting acclimated through their rotations. And I'm gonna look at it and say defense wins. I look at LSU's schedule. LSU has played exactly 2 top 20 teams in terms of efficiency. Number 8, Alabama. They score 75 points and lose by 30. Number 17, Kentucky. They lose by 13. They play a top 20 defense here. Texas Tech does not lose 3 in a row, wins and covers.
How are you approaching this, Drew? Are you looking from a side from a total perspective? And we certainly know that Texas Tech's going to bring some defense.
Sure. About Texas Tech. I like Texas Tech here, Joe. I mean, this LSU side, I get it, the Go Tigers, everything like that, but against the better teams, and Ralph was just kind of touching on this, yes, they did beat Arkansas, but they lost against Florida. They got blown up, pretty much no shows against Kentucky and Alabama, and Kentucky's not even all that good so far this season. Going up against Texas Tech, number 14 in terms of defensive efficiency, top 25 in offensive efficiency. Last 2 games, 0-2, but the thing is, it was against Baylor and West Virginia, so you got to take that into account in terms of strength of schedule. Good point guard play. We just talked about point guards being important in the Oklahoma side. Whatever it is in the Big 12, they have good point guards. McClung here, 82% from the free throw line, doesn't turn the ball over too much, averaging 20-plus points in Big 12 play. When your point guard's doing that, you're doing something right and winning some games. So I think we get the better point guard and the better head coach here, Joe. Keep in mind, Will Wade versus Chris Beard. I'll take Chris Beard all day long. So Texas Tech -1, if that's the number. I was just going off of Ken Palm's numbers in terms of my handicapping on this game. But anything in the pick-em -1, -2 range, or even better, I'll be on Texas Tech.
In LSU's defense, Will Wade does pay better than Chris Beard. Dave, let me ask you, my LSU totally inconsistent. It's tough to back this team in this situation, even though they're home, isn't it?
I think they're actually very consistent of late, and it's been consistently bad. I had them the other night against Texas A&M, and I'm happy to get the win, but they weren't good. I mean, they had a 17-point lead. They blew that. They're down 66-60, and they scored the last 18 points in the game for a very misleading 12-point win. And I was thrilled with it because I laid the points with LSU, but that wasn't a good performance. Neither was the Kentucky game. Neither was the Alabama game. And you can go back to the South Carolina game. And South Carolina at that point was battling all kinds of problems. And they barely won that game. They were down 6 pretty late in that game, managed to win it by 5. But that's 4 straight games where you could give them below average grades. So this is not a team in good form right now. And I think their ranking and their reputation is slipping. They're a decent team, but that's probably about it. I don't know that they're even a top 40 team. You got Texas Tech off 2 losses. -2, I don't think that holds. I think Texas Tech will be going off of this game higher than that. Circa put that line up. I think they're short. I think this line it could be 3 or 4. If it's not, you got a little bit of a bargain on Texas Tech.
Good point there. Loaded card here, guys, this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun tonight, of course, tomorrow. I'll tell you who's been consistent is this crew right here, this panel, 13-1-1 over the last 72 hours with their best bets. We're going to get to those here in just a second. And a quick reminder, the opportunity for you guys to be able to put your own team together. And we're talking all-stars here, guys. Build your own team at Wager Talk. Put Drew Martin, put Dave Koch, and put Ralph Michaels all on the same team for as little as $199. That's a 55% savings, 30 days, all access, all their plays, all yours for 30 days. Don't miss out. This is going away shortly, guys. The opportunity to put your own team together right now at Wager Talk. Let's look at our gold sheet player today, our friends from there, Ralph. And it looks like, Bellarmine, you're kind of new to the game this year. I know there's been a lot of folks backing them and winning, too, taking on Kennesaw State. So it looks like Bellarmine, or are they going, they're taking the, no, Bellarmine. Yeah, there you go. They're going Bellarmine in this game, Ralph.
I mean, come on. They even put the Bellarmine Knights logo up there for you, Joe.
It's a lot of on one page.
one of the 4 new D1 teams this year. They were a D2 power. They won the national championship 4 or 5 years ago. They play in Louisville in Legion Hall. So they play where Louisville used to play their games before they moved to the Yum Center. And Gold Sheet Play of the Day, Bellarmine will tweet it out so you can read that write-up, and hopefully Gold Sheet hits for a 4th straight day as our panel looks to continue on that massive best bet run.
Love it. 13-1-1, so no pressure, Drew. I mean, if it's wrong, you just don't come back. I'm only kidding. Drew Martin, sportsmemo.com, my friend. I know you got this game circled. You've had it circled. Tell us, man, what's the best bet tonight?
Sure, Joe. I bet into it at the opener. It's a happy hour special for you out there on the East Coast, 5 p.m. Eastern tip, ESPN 3. Detroit Mercy versus the Youngstown State Penguins. 149 being the total. Youngstown State -1.5. I like Detroit plus 1.5 here, Joe. Couple reasons why. Detroit's a fascinating handicap themselves. 1-7 in 2020, meaning they went 1-7 in their 8 games before January 1st. Then they had COVID issues. And talking about the games before January 1st, they played Michigan State, Joe, Notre Dame, Kent State, Wright State, all top 100 teams. Then they had 3 weeks with no games due to COVID-19 issues. And then since coming back, over a month off, 3-1 since coming back. So it's a buy low opportunity. And a lot of people out there talking the stock market right now. And it's something I learned from being at JP Morgan. You make the most money when you're investing in something that's absolutely horrible and then it just goes to just kind of bad. That's the best way to make a ton of money. And I carry that over to sports betting. When some of these really awful teams just get, sort of bad and start covering numbers, it can really go under the radar. So I have the Detroit Mercy circled here, not only tonight, tomorrow's game, and going forth in the Horizon League. I think they're undervalued, and just particularly in this matchup tonight, Joe, Youngstown State 67% from the free throw line, Detroit 79%, a top 10 team from the free throw line. So in a competitively priced game, I like having the better free throw team. That's Detroit. So I took them plus 1.5.
Love that game. Love that breakdown, Drew. Make sure you guys are checking him out on Twitter at Drew Martin Bets, at sportsmemo.com is where you can see his page and all his best bets this weekend. Dave, which way are you going to lean here tonight for a best bet?
Well, one thing I want to mention, you promoted the team concept.
Yes.
And I can pretty much guarantee you that if you get me along with Ralph and Drew or any other combination, I will lead the team in canceled games. That's pretty much a guarantee. And I did a free, and I should mention that my free pick is on the Super Bowl. That I'm really worried about the game getting canceled now because I have a play on it. So we'll see what happens with that. I'll take Colorado State. I look, if Boise makes the adjustments from the disaster on whatever it was last night or 2 nights ago, good for them. But I mean, they got physically outmanned in that game, and that's a tougher adjustment for me than something statistical. I think Colorado State might just be too strong for them physically. We'll see how it plays out. I'll take the Rams plus 3.
Going with the Rams. That's it. Getting it done. Going 2-0 there against Boise. And Ralph, you don't want that action, right? He is going to lead in canceled games, right? Bar none. Is that what's going to happen? You don't want to get up against that.
Oh, he is a king. Going all the way back to college football. It's like, well, let's see. Let's see. Dave likes this team, so let's not do videos on this game because it's going to be a waste of our time. So, at least, Dave, I appreciate you getting the cancellation in before we talked about the game today, so we didn't have to waste our time talking about it. So I appreciate you moving up the time frame on those.
Yep.
Anytime.
Well, you know me, guys. If it's in the top 200, I'm not even looking at it for a best bet. How about Stetson? You gotta love Stetson. I'm going to the A-Sun, the Hatters out of D-Land. The wrong team's favored, guys. Florida Gulf Coast is 6-5, has a reputation. They played the number 260 schedule. Stetson's 4-8 against the number 128 schedule. If you look at Stetson in conference play, they are only 2-4. But you know what? They played the top 3 teams in the conference. This Florida Gulf Coast team is number 8 out of 9 teams in conference play in offensive efficiency. They're 9 out of 9 in defensive efficiency. The wrong team is clearly favored. Stetson should be a 4 or 4.5 point favorite. I'm taking the Hatters plus 1.5. Best bet. And let me add, Joe, it is actually one of my client plays for today. So this is one of my all-access client plays. I do like it that much.
Yeah, just hold on. Let me hit submit. All right, we are in with Stetson there, Ralph. Appreciate that very much. I'm going to go to the Big West here, guys, and I'm going to throw out Long Beach State taking on UC San Diego, a team that is transitioning from that Division II to Division I. The whole conference has been an absolute mess, but Long Beach State has 3 former captains last year coming back and available here. They got blown out against Cal Baptist on Saturday, but I do think they turn it around and they get the job done tonight. 7-1 in their last 8 games, coming off a loss like that on Saturday. So I like Long Beach State. It opened up at 1.5. It's already at 2.5. So grab that when you guys can. Best bet recaps right now. We are looking at Stetson for Ralph getting the 1.5. Drew Martin going Detroit Mercy. That is a 5 p.m. Eastern start there. So make sure that you guys, if you're watching this now, go ahead and grab it. Colorado State plus 3 for Dave. I'm going to go Long Beach State minus 1.5, minus 2. It's up to 2.5 now. And our friends at the Gold Sheet are Bellarmine minus 8. Your best bets there. Looking to put a exclamation point on a hell of a week, guys. It's been a very profitable week. Glad for those of you that have been tailing. We're happy that you're able to get it done. So let's keep that going. In the meantime, make sure you hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner. Subscribe. Come back and join us. Monday, we'll do it all over again. It's a huge weekend in college hoops. Make sure you visit Drew at sportsmemo.com. And, of course, Dave and Ralph at WagerTalk.com. Last day for you guys to put that team together. Do it now. 3 guys. That's right, 3 guys. As low as $199, 30 days, all access. This would be the team to put together. So on behalf of Drew Martin, Dave Koken, Ralph Michaels, I'm Joe Raineri. Best of luck with the plays, guys. Come back and join us on Monday. We'll break it all down, and we'll start again. Good luck.
Have you ever wanted to create your own Wager Talk Dream Team? We're excited to announce you can build your own superstar handicapping lineup using our Pick Your Team program at WagerTalk.com. Even more exciting, for a limited time, you can save up to 55% on your favorite 2 or 3 handicappers and pay as little as $1.99 for a full month of picks. Dave Koken, Marco D'Angelo, Yanni the Greek, Ralph Michaels, Teddy Covers, Hakeem Prophet, Tony Finn, Rob Vino, Brian Leonard. The combinations are endless. Who will make your dream team lineup? Just go to WagerTalk.com, click Pick Your Team, and personally hand select your handicapping roster. Our Dream Team promotion is only being offered for a little limited time before going back to regular price, so please make sure to take advantage of this incredible offer.